I want to start off by saying that I really enjoyed my time with the Safehouse in the Hills DLC, and the reason for the title isn't necessarily to do with the content itself. Kind of. But after finishing everything in the DLC, I was left feeling empty, wanting more, and really wondering what happened. And where is the rest? For the first time ever, a GTA 6 delay seemed to have directly impacted how a GTA Online DLC was being done. And sure, many could argue that GTA 6 has had a rather large impact whether or not we're still getting GTA Online DLCs till this day, but this one especially, you really felt it. To me, it really felt that because the delay for GTA 6 was so close to this DLC, a lot of things got shuffled about. But let's rewind a little bit.
Knock, knock, Daddy. There's somebody at the door.
Welcome to the neighborhood!
Yeah, welcome.
Oh my gosh, look at this view!
A Safehouse in the Hills brings back Michael, and finally, after many years of asking, and frankly me wondering why you would even want to have it to begin with, mentions have been added to GTA Online. The mention really makes you feel like you've made it after 12 years of digging through all the dirt of the Los Santos underground, selling all your illicit goods, robbing every building and bank in town, and frankly just going through hordes of enemies. And it all led up to this. A big fuck you house in the hills and a neighbor that seemed to be rather fond of you even though he spends most of his time looking on his phone instead. It really allows Rockstar to finally close that book after what was going to be a 13-year journey. I will refrain from spoiling the mission for you because I do genuinely feel that if you've been a player that's gone through all the ups and downs of GTA Online and stuck with it for many years, or just even been someone who came back for every DLC or have some kind of connection with GTA Online or GTA 5 as a whole, it is really something that is worth experiencing. Unfortunately, you will need to have a $12 million mention for it, but if you do ever get to play the mission, I think you'll end up leaving very satisfied with the way that things probably could have ended after 12 years of GTA Online. That was really cool. That was genuinely really cool. I mean, if that's the very last thing that we play in GTA Online, I'd be satisfied. But if you don't actually give too much of a crap about experiencing it yourself and just want to see the mission, it's on my second channel, so check it out, I suppose. But Michael isn't the only character returning. Avi Schwartzman, the paranoid Gtamen, makes a return and needs some help destroying the autonomous company No Way. And you might think, there's no way that can be any good. Similar to the Clockenbell Farm raid and Oscar de Guzman Flies Again, this has 4 different setup missions leading up to a finale. But unlike the Clockenbell Farm raid and Oscar Guzman Flies Again, it is a very different type of raid. Your goal in the Clockenbell Farm raid was obviously to try and get into the Clockenbell Farm raid, and it's more of a traditional high-style thing, whereas Oscar Guzman Flies Again was really just about taking down the big bad and honestly just flying a bunch of cool aircraft. Whereas the No Way Out missions have a lot of variety, and I honestly feel that because of the way that it's structured and you really feel like you're infiltrating everything and uncovering the mystery of what the No Way Out missions are all about, it does end up being, in my humble opinion, the best raid that has been added to the game thus far. Because honestly, even in the missions themselves, you're not always doing the same thing. Whereas stuff in the Clockenbell Farm raid and Oscar Guzman Flies Again can quickly end up in a oh, you're just gonna shoot a bunch of bad guys at a different location. The No Way Out missions are really more just about sneaking around and trying to stay in the shadows and keeping your cover until inevitably that obviously goes away. But generally speaking, I really enjoyed the balance in between that. There is even variety within the missions themselves where you're not just doing the same thing in that particular mission. There's always a bit of a switch up at the end or towards the middle somewhere, which I personally really always appreciated. The missions are just interesting, and the whole vibe of the sections that you do go through are nice. There are some new ideas in there, like with the taxis and destroying the billboards, and having the option to either use your taxi to go through them like you are playing Burnout Paradise of all things, or you just blow up with Sticky Bomb because you decided that you needed to figure it out for a guide, and Now you can go fast. But jokes aside, genuinely, these missions are nice and varied, and there are some new and cool ideas in there. And sure, many people are going to make the argument of like they're reusing locations again and interiors and etc. But at this point, that's kind of to be expected. Let's be completely honest here. We know that this is going to be something that's a thing. It's just more so about what exactly they're doing within the missions themselves. And there's also a decent amount of humor in there too that isn't cringe and that is just genuinely well-meant humor. Especially in the finale, when you're in that finale where the dudes start shouting, "Why won't you talk?" It's just funny and just kind of like commenting on the fact that we haven't said a word in the past 12 years. If you can make a mission where you drive a trash truck to 3 different locations interesting, I think they've done a rather good job. Another thing, by the way, that I should definitely highlight that I literally just thought about is the fact that it actually also makes sense to play this with additional players too. Because of the fact that if you were to play the first mission, you can decide to let your friend go to the depot while you already go and destroy the billboards and the taxis. It will save you a bunch of time. It actually allows for some cooperative play, which I've been screaming about that it really should be a thing. For the trash truck missions, the same thing goes again. You could, hypothetically speaking, go to one of the locations already, disable the cameras, clear out all the guards, and then just start bringing the bags in. Again, save yourself a bit of time. So there is an angle and a reason to play with a different player while still also allowing this to be done solo as well. And it functions perfectly fine that way too. So honestly, like with the Oscar Guzman Flies Again missions, Rockstar has done a good job at finding that balance between keeping it interesting for solo players and giving it a reason to do it with 2 players if you choose to do so. And the reward at the end for doing so isn't too bad either, which is rather nice. Overall, the Safehouse in the Hills DLC is genuinely a very solid update. The mentions are a real joy to be in, and if I'm completely honest, completely surpassed my expectations. It really is an update that screams like a final hurrah for GTA Online. The production boost that you get with your mention, as well as the fast travel options, really just allow you to have the mention not only be a hub to show off all your accomplishments with the trophies and the plaques, but also allows you to make your life just a little bit easier to earn back the $12 million that you spend on it. It's something that is a hefty investment into something that will make your life a little bit easier, while also allowing to show your friends or even yourself or whoever, look, I have done all this. This is like, I guess, the final property that we will buy in the game. Obviously, it's now being brought into question given the fact that we don't know what's going to happen in summer because of the delay of GTA 6, but I suppose time will tell. Speaking of, by the way, if you haven't seen the video done on the production boost in the mention, go check that out. It is crazy. Or go to Reddit, where they just screenshotted the video instead. But this is where we circle back to the beginning of the video and also the reason why I titled the video that I did. I cannot help but shake the feeling that there is something missing here. And it is done on purpose, obviously, but as we can tell in the game files, it is not going to be coming out until at least summer, likely, probably, but depending on when Rockstar will decide to release the next, which they will have to do through a title update because nothing is in the files at the moment. I cannot help but shake the feeling that the Avi Schwartzman stuff was meant to be the March update, but then again, that doesn't make any sense because the Avi missions are tying in with the Michael mission, but then Michael says, "Give me a call sometime," and then Mr. Faber gives you a call saying, "Ha ha ha ha, it was me." And I don't think we ever really had anything like that happen in GTA Online, which really makes me like wonder, is that phone call supposed to be like coming later? Or then there's also the text from Jimmy that's supposedly in the files about him finally moving out and moving away, and there's so many weird things going on. And I know this is all of like tinfoil head stuff, but I think a lot of the feeling is also just me actually being really excited and wanting to figure out what exactly is going on here, and the fact I have to wait until summer to find out kind of sucks. And it's also really refreshing to like be disinterested and kind of invested into GTA Online again. And I hope that Rockstar will really take a lesson from this and not from Battle Online where they left the story unfinished, that hopefully this is something that they'll end up doing in GTA 6 Online too, where kind of like, you know, from DLC to DLC, there are like these little stories that we can play and then look forward to what happens in the next part. Either way, I'm going off track here. What I'm trying to say, in short, is that the Safehouse on the Hill DLC is genuinely solid and it's worth a play. It is worth going through the Avi missions because, as I said, it's one of the best raids in the game, if not the best one. And frankly, they just didn't give us more GTA Online. They really put some thought into this, which is nice to see. Since 2022, the DLCs have kind of been whatever, most of the time. Chop Shop is something that comes to mind that stands out, but even though that really was the case, and I guess stuff became a lot more phoned in, especially with the last 2 updates or so, they always had like a distinct theme to them, and Rockstar always kind of seemed to stick with it. But this really felt like a breath of fresh air that the game like genuinely really needed, at least for myself. Like, I'm not someone that really cares too much about social properties and that sort of stuff, but I found myself even going as far as spending some time to customize my mansion, which I don't really care too much about customization, but it's such a cool building and it's so well done that I actually just sat down and want to go and do it. I own all 3. Like, what kind of baller move is it to just say I own all 3 mansions? It's just nice that a lot of thought has gone into this update and it is just genuinely really paying off. And I'm very excited to see how it is going to continue on with this story. And I genuinely hope that because they decided to potentially and likely push part 2 of this DLC further down the road, that it will also mean that they will allow themselves to have another look at it and potentially make it even better than it was originally going to be. Unfortunately, it seems that this is probably going to be another 6 months until we get to actually play that. Unless they surprise us in March, but I kinda doubt that. Either way, that's it for my thoughts on the Safehouse on the Hill DLC. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you all later.